The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning. You're listening to The Nonprofit Voice with Ron Gold. 2024 is my 50th year in radio, and this year I will be highlighting the people in nonprofits who've been featured on my shows in the past 10 years on 103.9 FM, Long Island News Radio, who've made a difference in the lives of people with disabilities. The Nonprofit Voice is a division of Marketing Works and Event Works. Today's featured agency is Heroes to Heroes Foundation, and I'm here this morning with Michael Haltman. Haltman or Haltman?
Haltman.
Haltman, I got it right. Okay.
You did.
Yeah, and he's from Hallmark Abstract, and I want him to talk about a little bit about himself, tell us how he got involved with the Heroes to Heroes Foundation.
Terrific. So, first, let me thank you, Ron. I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor. And just a little bit about myself. So I own Hallmark Abstract Service, and I own it with my wife. We have 3 kids, 2 great dogs. But
I met one of the dogs.
You might have met both of the dogs.
Right. Yeah, they were.
Big black dog and a little black dog.
Right.
Terrific. You know
it's
what?
Nice that the big one met me at the door.
Right.
And he's huge.
He meets everyone at the door. He makes sure that you were worthy of coming into the office. And you were.
And I have the smell on me of Labradoodles.
Right. No question. So how did I get involved with Heroes to Heroes? I was at a business club in the city, and, between networking events and meetings. And a woman was sitting at the table I was at, and I asked her what she was doing. And she started to describe a charity that works with combat vets at risk of death by suicide. And, when she described the mission to me, I said, that is definitely something I'd like to get involved with. And that was about 7 years ago. I became the board chair, and here we are today.
Well, let me ask you something. Usually when somebody starts a foundation or gets involved in the foundation, it's usually because they personally have been affected in some way. Well,
that's a good point. So I'm not a veteran.
I asked you that when we first saw you. But you look like one.
well, it's the shirt. But I got to tell you, growing up, I always had a very large affinity for the police, for the military, for the people really who go out and risk their lives so that we can live the life that we want to live. My kids didn't have to serve, but many other people's kids do serve. And, many of them pay a very significant price. So, I've always been a relatively large law and order guy. And, what these guys do is beyond belief, not just in the past wars recently, but, you think about, we just had VE Day 2 days ago, I think. And, what the Greatest Generation did was just beyond belief.
Well, let me ask you a question, because we're looking at Heroes to Heroes Foundation, and I'm looking at you, and you started this foundation.
I did not start it.
Oh, you didn't start it?
No.
Oh, well, tell me about that part, because that's the confusing part. I only think of you as, it's Michael from Heroes to Heroes.
Well, I am the board chair, but the foundation was started by Judy Elias, and Judy's father came home from Korea, I believe, and she felt that he really never did come home, that he had left something behind. And it wasn't until he died that she found out that he actually worked with vets in terms of, I guess you would call it psychological counseling on some level. And she determined that given the way that our vets are treated today, that there had to be a better way. And when she was young, her parents, she was kind of like not the greatest of kids. And her parents sent her to Israel for rehabilitation, I guess you would call it. And she thought, if it worked for me, why wouldn't it work for combat veterans? And, to be clear, Heroes to Heroes works with combat vets suffering moral injury. And, for listeners who don't know what moral injury is, it's when you do something, see something so abhorrent, so against everything that you stand for as a human being, that you can't live with yourself. So, we work with a very invisible wounds are very often an underserved part of veteran care. We know about Wounded Warrior. We know about Tunnel to Towers. We see those wounds and those issues. But very often a vet will come home and you really don't know that he's suffering or she until it's too late. A lot of times these people come home, they can't live with themselves. Their marriages suffer. Their relationships with children and other family members suffer. They turn to drugs or alcohol. They become reclusive. And, it just one thing leads to another. And, the fact of the matter is that 22 or more vets die by suicide every day. And, that's
And you got to look at, what happened during COVID with these people.
Oh, so, right. So isolation and loneliness that they typically would live through was just put onto steroids. So, I haven't seen statistics of whether the suicide rate jumped during COVID, but I know that it did for other constituencies.
Yeah, right.
Kids, a lot of people. So I would have to assume that it was an issue of some kind.
Let's ask about the Hallmark abstract. Do they have any connection with this, or just you? You are the connection.
Well, I am the connection. Of course, the company, because I own the company, we are involved as much as we can with supporting the charity. But, primarily it's me. Absolutely.
And how much time do you put in every week?
I probably put in, I would say probably a good 10 hours.
Okay.
And, I get up early. I get up at 5. So, it gives me the leeway to do things that I have to do. But, no, it definitely is a time commitment. It's a financial commitment. It's an emotional commitment, but it's, at the end of the day, all of it is worthwhile because, we save lives and you can't put a price tag on that.
So you say it was founded by Judy Elias, right? Now,
correct.
Why did she found it?
Again, it was because, because of the way her father came home or didn't come home, because, she felt like she could never really connect with him. And she knew, and actually one week somebody took her down to Walter Reed Hospital.
Okay.
And she saw.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. So she saw the way that the vets, what treatment looked like. And she really felt that there had to be a better way.
And how many years ago was that?
The charity is approximately 12 years old.
How many people do you help a year?
Well, a key component. So normally when I first started with the organization, we were trying to send about 6 teams of 10 a year. Our goal prior to COVID was...
So that's the heroes part to the heroes. Is that...
The 6 teams of 10, the 10 are the heroes.
Right.
And, it is a non-denominational 501c3.
Right.
And before COVID, the plan was to jump that up and send more teams. The goal is to save as many people as we can. So COVID came in and threw a monkey wrench into that.
Right.
Our plans for this year were kind of put on hold because of October 7th, because a key component to the one-year program are these journeys to Israel. And, just to get into a little bit about, what is the Heroes to Heroes mission? So, saving vets suffering moral injury and at risk of death by suicide, but how do we do that? So there are 3 key components. One is peer support. I always used to think, people have to open up. But if I went and sat down with a veteran at a coffee shop and said, listen, tell me what's up. Tell me what's going on and, what's troubling you, what's going on in your mind, they're not going to do that with me. But with other vets, they will. Mm-hmm. So, a key component of the success to the mission is the peer support. Vets who talk to each other, rely on each other, build relationships with each other. And, that is extremely important. And that is a key component. But another key component is spiritual reawakening. and reconnection to faith is the third. So Judy found through studying the death by suicide piece that in a large portion of people who commit suicide, loss of faith is a big contributing factor, which brings the Israel piece into this.
Right.
So,
tell me about that.
So, there's really no more spiritual place on earth than Israel. Right. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish, and the majority of guys who go through our program are not Jewish. But, whether you're going to Yad Vashem, whether you're going to the Western Wall, being baptized, going to Stations of the Cross, there's going to be some aspect of that journey that's going to touch you and help to open you up and begin the process of healing. So if I may give you an example.
Please.
We had one soldier who, and a lot of times vets don't want to come. They're pretty much at the end of their rope, so to speak. And so there was a vet who really didn't want to come. His parents basically drove him to Newark Airport and put him on the plane. And during the 10 days, he was non-communicative, didn't really talk to his friend, to the other vets. And then they came out of Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum, and he called everyone over and said, I want to tell you the story. I want to tell you a story. And he told the story of how when he was in Iraq with his platoon, a father and his 10-year-old son came up on them. And the father told the son, he gave the son his gun and told him to kill the infidels.
Wow.
This soldier killed the child. And, when you talk about moral injury, this soldier who had a child back home had to kill a child.
Ooh.
And, if you talk about doing things that are so abhorrent that you can't live with yourself. And, that was his thing. But what Yad Vashem showed him, the last exhibit, is a candle for every child killed by the Nazis. And what he learned from that, what he took away, was that, in fact, he wasn't a murderer, that he was a soldier doing what he should have been doing, which was saving his platoon mates. And, from that helped to open him up and put him on the path towards healing.
Well, who's picking the teams for you to go? Your team is meeting other teams, right? Heroes to heroes part.
Well, teams are kind of a cohesive unit. It's not the teams. The teams do interact. So,
am I taking it too literally?
Well, I mean, it is a team, to the extent that they go to Israel as a team. But when they come home, they are close with their teammates, although they do interact with the rest of the program graduates. But who picks the vets? So we get applications, whether referrals, whether from our website, and we have a program manager who went through the program. We have other coaches who went through the program, and they vet the soldiers, and we also have a medical doctor on staff who does a psychological evaluation prior to the journey, prior to them entering the program. The journey takes place about halfway through the 1 year. But unfortunately, there are some vets who may not be suffering in the way that they would require a program like Heroes to Heroes. And sometimes, a journey to Israel sounds great. And, the vetting part is very important, to make sure that the people, given our limited resources, although hopefully the people listening to this show will flood me with new resources, you have to be careful that you're really bringing people who need the help.
So as the board chair
Yes.
of this group, of this foundation, how many people on the board with you?
We have 9 people on the board.
Wow.
From around the country, a lot from New York, but all volunteers. The only person who draws a salary is Judy. She gave up her career to found Heroes to Heroes. Mm-hmm. And we're all volunteers who love the mission, and we do what we can do to further that mission.
And how many people on staff?
We have, I believe, 3.
Okay.
And primarily part-time.
So you raise money through, your fundraising through events. So what events do you have coming up?
So we have on July 22nd, we have our 14th annual Golf, Tennis, and Pickleball Classic.
Wait, you're only 12 years old.
I appreciate that, Ron. It's going to be at Sunningdale Country Club in Scarsdale.
Oh, wow.
It's an extremely patriotic day. It's an extremely fun day. And, we've always done golf, and we've always sold out the golf. But now that we're adding tennis and pickleball, I know that there are a lot of pickleball fans out there.
Really? Isn't it amazing?
Have you ever played, Ron?
No. Have you?
I have.
How was it?
It's a fun game.
Is it really?
I play a lot. I used to play a lot of tennis, and it's different, but it's a fun game. Most definitely. But it's a great day to basically show your appreciation for the people who do the jobs that we either don't want to do or don't have to do.
But going up to Scarsdale, that's a big trip. Is most of your Heroes to Heroes on Long Island?
You mean the soldiers?
Yeah.
You know what? Geographically, they're fairly diverse.
They don't care about going to Scarsdale.
Well, the heroes, we only have about 3 or 4 of our program participants who come. And, I know there's one who I give a ride to every year. Some are coming in and, stay the night. And, we do bring a lot of guests from Long Island, but primarily the heroes are, it's no big deal for them to come. They call Judy, what do they call her? Mom. Yeah, because
they don't call you Dad, do they?
No, I think they call me other things. But no, they call her Mom because, she's unbelievably loving to them and a support for them. And, they've seen her walk the walk and talk the talk, which not everybody always does. So,
well, this is a big event. The way it's at a country club in Scarsdale, and you make a lot of money off this. Is that enough to keep the
lights on?
Yeah, for the whole year.
Well, you know what, we get grants.
Oh, you do get
one
grants.
Of our larger supporters is the Jewish National Fund.
Okay. They
don't have kind of they do a lot of building in Israel,
right?
But they don't necessarily have any focus here in the States. They do a lot of fundraising in the States, but Heroes to Heroes, addresses things that our mission is something that they greatly appreciate.
Well, tell me about the research. One of the questions you gave me was, has any research been done?
Yes. So Dr. Joseph Currier at the University of South Alabama is one of the foremost experts in the country on moral injury. And he wanted to do a study on the Heroes to Heroes program, really to prove the efficacy of what we do and the results that we have. And he did a long-term study on 100 of our program graduates. Mm-hmm. And his study results showed great efficacy, showed that what we do is incredibly beneficial for the vets who come through the program. As a matter of fact, we've had 400 vets come through the program, and all are with us in various stages of healing, which I think is phenomenal.
I want to ask you about, we have a couple of minutes left, bringing our American heroes from suicidal ideation to community reintegration.
Yes, that's it's a tagline, but it's incredibly it tells the story. So the vets, when we hear from them, are basically at the end. We've had vets who They had the gun sitting on the table right next to their glass of whiskey.
Oh my God.
And, suicidal ideation is, that's the last step. And again, a lot of these guys, they lose relationships with spouses. They lose relationships with children, friends, family. So, if you think about it, we are taking them from suicidal ideation back to their community. Whatever their community is, we are helping them reintegrate into that, and they're going to live their best life.
Well, I applaud you for everything you do.
Well, thank you,
That's really amazing, the amount of time that you have to put in, and you do put it in with love, and that's important.
100%.
But tell me about how we can get in touch with you.
Terrific. So the website for Heroes to Heroes is heroes, HEROES 2TO, heroes.org is the website. If anyone has any questions, and again, we are looking for people. Sure, we would like people to come to the outing as either a sponsor, a golfer, pickleballer. Or
is it on your website?
It is.
Okay, good. So they could sign up there.
Absolutely. But even more than that, we're looking for people who want to get involved. A lot of people out there don't know how to get involved. They are philanthropic. They want to get involved, but they don't necessarily know how. Reach me, Mike Haltman, mhaltman at hallmarkabstractllc.com.
Thanks, Mike. This is Ron Gold from Marketing Works. The name of the show is The Nonprofit Voice.